can and will be held against you. All right, let's get to the first question. First question we got is 1.237 in the book, number 11 online. 1.2, number 11 online. This is a test question. It's one of those quickie test questions. It's not very difficult, but it's one that they put on standardized tests. So, first of all, is this a function? Yes or no? No, it's not. Vertical line test tells us that it is not a function. Vertical line test. And it usually picks out what things? Well, 1, a circle. 2, oval or a ellipse. I don't know how to spell ellipse. I know there's an E in there. Or a hyperbola. Okay? Those three things, a vertical line test will tell you that basically it is not a function. So we know it's not a function. 1, not a function. And our domain is from here to there. So that looks like these are ones. Count and make sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4 to -4 is our domain. -4 to +4 inclusive is your domain. And range is from negative what? -3 to what? +3. That should be all it asks. Okay? I'm not going to type in the answers. I'm just going to type in 3. Okay, they're just going to ask for just the domain. Okay. Range, same thing.
So when I ask for the domain, we need the brackets?
Yeah, because it's inclusive.
Okay.
It touches 3. Now, if it has a open circle on it, which it wouldn't on a circle,
right,
it would have a parenthesis or infinity.
okay. Right.
No, it is not a function. That's a good test question. So you might have 2 or 3 of those on the test. Good question. Any other questions? Let's look and see. I don't see, wait a minute, there's some more. Okay, we just did that one. Here's some more. I don't know, I guess they're, I don't know when they were sent. When were they sent? 9:47 this morning. Sunday. Okay, these are all legit. Let me see, let me go up to, if I could work dadgum board. Okay, so 2.1, number 19, number 4. So it's like number 19 in the book, number 4 online. 2.1, number 4, excuse me. This is a test question along with the same lines as the last one. So this is one of those that I told you you'd have 2 or 3. This is 1. Okay? Now, we're going to have our handy dandy airplane. And of course, that airplane, which way do we read? We read from left to right. So what's it doing? It's increasing from what?
-6.
Negative infinity to what?
4.
To 3. It's increasing from negative infinity to 3. Write that down. Remember, there's only one aspect that's in relation to y. What is that? the range. Everything else is in relation to what? Okay, I want interaction here. The range is the only thing that's in terms of y. Everything else is in terms of x. Thank you, Mr. Bay. I appreciate your interaction. Y'all just really want this class to drag out, don't you? Long as possible. No interaction, just long as possible. Make it seem like 9 weeks instead of 1. So what's it doing from what's it doing from 3 to 7? Well, it's not increasing or decreasing, it's what? It's constant. Thank you. Appreciate that interaction. Constant. Constant means levels out. The dot is between, 6. Sorry. From 3 to 6. Sorry. I can't read.
You say 3, you mean 4.
Where's the dot?
Okay.
You're reading in terms of y. You can't do that. Y is just the range. Okay? And then from, what's it doing from 6 to infinity? Decreasing. From 6 to infinity is decreasing. 6 to infinity is decreasing. Is it a function? Yes.
Yes.
Domain. Well, you got 2 arrowheads. What is 2 arrowheads? All real numbers. What's the range? From negative infinity to what?
Infinity.
Negative infinity to what on the range?
Wait. Four.
Thank you. Domain is all reals because it has 2 arrowheads, and it's not a radical or rational function, and you know that because of your family of graphs. Okay, range is from negative infinity to 4. Increasing from negative infinity to 3. Technically, it needs a parenthesis on 3 because you're neither going up or down. Some people put brackets, but technically it's supposed to be a parenthesis. Constant from 3 to what?
6.
And decreasing from 6 to what?
Infinity.
Now, the reason it is not inclusive, the reason you do not put brackets on this, on the 3 and the 6, the reason you don't put brackets, even though you have a solid line, is because you're neither going up or what? Down. You're flying, basically. You're neither going up or down. So that is the reason this is the only reason that you use parentheses on a solid circle. Okay? This is technically like a piecewise function. And that should be your answers on that. Does it ask anything else besides domain, range, increasing, or decreasing? Does it? Well, there'll be some people that argue with that because you're neither going up or down. I'm going to put 3 because I'm lazy. Takes more time. No. No, it uses bracket. It uses parentheses. Decreasing. I have allergies. I have had allergies all weekend, and my eyes are watering like crazy. Six to what? Infinity. And does it ask for constant? Yep. Oh, this weekend I sound like a bullfrog. I still sound like a bullfrog. Not as bad. 3 and 6. The domain of the function is all real numbers, which is negative infinity to positive infinity. And range is from negative infinity to 4. Is that all it's asking? Yep. That's a good test question. It's a little bit more, it's a little bit more in depth than the first one we did, because the first one is not a function. So you're limited to what you can do with a not a function because you don't have an increasing or decreasing. But that's a good test question. Good job, whoever sent that one. 2 good test questions. Next one. (2.1), that's the same one. Hopefully that helped. 2 different people sent the same one. Does that help for both of those? Not like I'm gonna get an answer. 2.1, number this third one. Let's do that one just in case. Well, we'll do this one. I don't want to be unfair. So we did that one. Did we do that? Was that one, right? Yeah, that was this one. I'm just going to write the answers. I'm not going to punch them in. I'm just going to write the answers. Is that the same one? I think it's a little bit different. Yeah, it's a little bit different. All right, go ahead and write that one. Or go ahead and answer that one. I'll blow it up for you because there'll be somebody, I can't see it. I can't see it. There, is that big enough for you? Huh? Well, the gang got all of them. We want the domain, the range, the increasing, the decreasing, and the constant values. How's it showing up there? Is it showing up on the whiteboard in Pendleton?
Yes, sir.
Okay. One person. She's the spokesman for the whole group. So what's my plane doing from negative infinity? It's increasing to 3. So negative infinity to 3, it's increasing. What's it doing from 3 to 5?
It's constant.
And what's it doing from 5 to infinity?
Decreasing.
Okay, so that's your numbers. So increasing from negative infinity to 3. Constant from 3 to 5, and decreasing from 5 to infinity. It is a function. Domain is all real numbers, or in this case, negative infinity to positive infinity, and the range is from negative infinity to what? Now 5 does get a bracket. Why? Because it's constant. But what if this was a parabola? What if it was a parabola and it went like this? Well, up to 5 like that. Would it get a bracket or get a parenthesis? Would 5 get a parenthesis or would it get a bracket? It would get a parenthesis because when you've got a parabola at this point, you're neither going up or what? Down. So it would get a parenthesis. But since it's not a parabola and it's got a constant function going on up there, you get a parenthesis. I meant a bracket instead of parenthesis. So you need to highlight that in your notes. You need to highlight that bracket and highlight that constant, because that's why you get a bracket on that 5, is because it's a constant function, a constant piece of the function. Capiche?
Mm-hmm.
And the next person to ask that question is right here. And I'm not going to draw it, we're just going to go over it. All right, what is the domain? What is the domain? All real numbers. What is the range? Negative infinity to what? 2. And the 2 gets a what? A bracket. Increasing. Negative infinity to what? I heard, oh. I love how y'all answer questions.
4.
4. And then constant from 4 to what? And then decreasing from what? 6 to infinity. And see, what y'all got to quit doing, if y'all, and I know that there's not only one person doing this, because it's normal. Usually what people do is they want to do the increasing and decreasing values in terms of y. You don't do that. You do everything in terms of x. The only thing that you do in terms of y is the range. Just remember that. Everything is in terms of x. So from negative infinity to 4 is increasing. From 4 to 6 is constant. And from 6 to infinity is decreasing. The domain is all real numbers. The range is from negative infinity to 2 with a bracket. Next question. I think we went over this one before. Yeah, this is the same one. Let's see about this one. Okay, moving on to the next problem in your homework. 2.121/5. This is number 5. Piecewise function. They suck. Okay? They do not. It's very, very complicated, but we'll do the best we can with it. I try not to give a lot of piecewise functions because they are complicated. So, first of all, the domain of this function is all real numbers. Why is it all real numbers? That's not rhetorical. I'm asking y'all to interact with me.
There's an arrow instead of that point.
Okay, we have arrows. That means all real numbers. But what about the middle? How come I got 2 open circles there? How do I have open circles and have all real numbers? Because the filled in circles cancel out the what?
The open circles?
The open circles, yes, because we're talking about the x values, right? Domain, x values. So even if you write the domain down in separate parts, let me do that right quick. So negative infinity. Okay, are you going to write or are you going to? The domain, if I wrote it in separate pieces, negative infinity to what? 2, and that's inclusive because it's got a solid, and then parentheses, 3 to what? Positive 3?
Yeah.
And then bracket from 3 to what?
Infinity.
What number? Wait a minute, that's 2 from 2 right here. Sorry about that. Made a mistake. Even though I have parentheses right here, what do I have on these guys? I have brackets. So 2 and 3 is inclusive of the domain, even though it's exclusive on one of the parts. You see what I'm saying? So therefore, negative infinity to what? Positive infinity. That's supposed to be a parenthesis. Negative infinity to positive infinity is the domain. Only because this basically what? Cancels that out. Because the negative 2, sorry. There. The negative 2 is what? It's inclusive. So is the what? The positive 3. Okay? So 3 is used. Is 3 used? Yes. Is negative 2 used? Yes. Even though this says it's not, in the overall function, it's what? It's used. You see what I'm saying? So you can actually say that the solid cancels out the open. You see what I'm saying? And the reason I keep saying you see what I'm saying is because nobody's answering me. And I don't know if you know what I'm talking about if nobody answers. So that's what you have. When you have a frozen class, that's what happens. All right, range. Negative infinity to what? We've got to be careful here because, let me go over here and erase it. All right, let's take this in stride because, okay, negative infinity to what? 0.5. Negative infinity to 0.5. Is that negative 0.5? That's positive. Did I get a bracket? Yes. All right, then where does it take off? From 3 to what? 3 to what? Infinity. Now, do I need to worry about this? The 3 right here. I'm sorry. From 3. No, that's not right. That's 1.5, not 3, Hubert. 1.5 to infinity. I can't read a daggum graph. It's the Sudafed. 1.5 to infinity. There we go. Yeah, I'm drunk. Call my department head and tell them. Okay? 1.5 to infinity. Now, this is where it gets complicated because you do have to recognize that there is a spot right here. But again, is it represented here with a open circle, with a closed circle? Yes. Why? Because this function is being used at 1.5 or 3 and 3. That function does it exist here? Yes. So technically, this line right here, does it cancel out this open circle? Yes. So technically, that's your domain. Now, increasing. Well, let's take our plane. And let's put our plane over here. And the reason I keep using the plane is not to insult your intelligence. The reason I keep using the plane is so you'll quit thinking in terms of why. Because that's what y'all do. Okay? So, oh well, just ignore the little circle floating around. That's a UFO. All right, so negative is decreasing from what? From negative infinity to what? To negative 2, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so write down it decreasing from negative infinity to 2. Now, does it get a bracket? Yes, it gets a bracket. Then it jumps up here, and it's exclusive, which this one covers that up, so it's going to be constant from 3 with a parenthesis because this piece of the function right here has an open circle. So it's constant from parenthesis negative 2 to what? To 3. And then it has a parenthesis because this piece of the function is inclusive of those two numbers. It's exclusive. Then it drops down, and now you're going from what? 3 to infinity, and you're going decreasing. So it's decreasing both. You don't have an increasing function on this one. So your decreasing would be from negative infinity to what? 2, negative 2, and it gets a bracket. And then from what? From 3 to what? To infinity. And constant from parenthesis negative 2 to what? 3. And now we'll get parentheses. Capiche?
Sir, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Whenever I was doing this in the homework for the range, they had us putting this like strange U in between the coordinates on the left and on the right.
Union and intersection. Okay? Union is when you don't overlap. Intersection is when you do overlap. Now, what does that mean? Well, let me just give you an example of a overlap. Here's a number line, and you got 0, 1, 2, 3, negative 1, negative 2, and you say x is less than 0. X is less than 0. And you mark 0, and you have an equal sign right here. And you mark 0, and you shade to the left right here. Got that? Let me just use a highlighter. Okay, and then I say x is greater than, equal to, negative 1. Then you take your other highlighter for day, and you highlight this. Where is the overlap right here? The overlap is negative 1 to 0. The overlap is from negative 1 to 0. Everybody see that?
Yeah.
This would be a intersection. Just think of an intersection of two roads. Which road gets the asphalt? Well, technically both roads have the asphalt because it's the intersection. It's overlapping. One asphalt is overlapping the other. Intersection is overlap. A union is not overlap. Remember, two people get married. Do they have to have anything in common? No. A lot of people get married. A lot of people get married and don't have anything in common. Okay? A lot of people. Okay, so, just because, well, what does that have to do with this? Most of these will be unions because you don't have a lot of overlapping. Now, there is overlap right in here, and they might use the intersection right here and right here, depending on what book you use. So, what do they? Let's see. That would be the domain. The domain right here, you might have an intersection right there and right there. What did they put in that one?
They didn't have any of those in the domain.
Okay. So where did they have the U's? They probably had U's in these.
They had the U in between the different range things.
The range here or the decreasing and constant?
Just the range.
Just the range.
Okay. And the reason they wouldn't have, I'm missing, what did I miss right here? Range is from negative infinity to 0.5 and from 1.5. I don't know what happened to that one. 1.5 to infinity. That to me, that to me is secondary to you getting the answer right. Okay? I'm concerned with the numbers. Okay? And make sure you understand what it means. I'm not really concerned with the intersection and the union. Okay, I'm not really concerned with that.
So if we happen to forget it,
If you forget it on a test, then just see me, and I'll probably give you 3/4 credit. Okay, I'll give you more than half credit if you miss it. Just be aware of it. I mean, once you do 2 or 3 homework problems, you're probably going to remember what to do. That's more of a procedural thing. What's your last name again? The only one that interacts with me at Pendleton?
Shuttleworth.
Miss Shuttleworth. Y'all remember that so we can remember. I'm terrible with names. I remember a face, but I can't remember names worth a flip. Shuttleworth. That one I can remember. All right. So does that help out, explaining that?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. One person still interacts. I'm going to find out what they interact about up there. I'm going to find out. I know they talk about something before we start class. I just got to find out what it is. I will break them. Next, 2.2, we're moving on. 2.2, number 7 online, number 31 in the book. First of all, is it a test question? Yes. Now you're starting to move in on the what we were doing last. Did we do complete the square? We started completing the square. Now you're starting to do, I'm going to combine complete the square with a homework problem here. Now you don't have to do completing the square here, but I'm going to do it so we can still go over stuff that we're doing now, present stuff. All right, so we've got this function. I'm going to set it equal to 0. 0 is equal to x squared. I don't have an x term here, but we can put 0. 0x minus 1. And I'm going to move it around. X squared plus 0x minus 1 is equal to 0. Now what do? Move what? Complete the square. What's the first step? Move what?
The 1 to the right
Move
side of
2.
the equal
Yes.
sign.
X squared plus 0x plus blank is equal to 1 plus blank. Half of 0 is what? I hate this card. It hits my ankle every single time I get over here. Conspiracy. 0 divided by 2 is 0. 0 squared is what? 0. X plus 0 quantity squared is equal to 1. What's the vertex? Negative 0, which is 0, and what? Negative 1. So that's our vertex. Going to solve. X plus 0 is equal to positive or negative 1. X is equal to positive or negative 1 minus 0. What's 1 minus 0? What's negative 1 minus 0? Thank you for your interaction. And now we can sketch the graph. What's our vertex? 0, negative 1. 1, 0, and negative 1, 0. What's our y-intercept? Negative 1. So there it is. Is it a function? Yes,
Yes.
it is a function.
Yeah.
Yes, it is a function. 2, domain. Domain is all real what? Unless you have solid or open circles up here, it's considered to be what? Arrowheads. I wish they would put arrowheads on all of them, but they don't. Okay? But domain is what? All real numbers. Or negative infinity to what?
Positive.
And the directions will tell you what to put in. If it says interval notation, they want negative infinity to positive infinity. Range. Range is from negative 1 to what? Positive infinity.
Could you repeat what you just said about interval notation? Why is it? Because that's what I think I was getting wrong. I was
Go back. I was coughing when you said.
I was flipping the sign around. I think on the interval notation. Why is it they're asking for? Are they asking for the reverse, negative to positive, instead of positive?
Well, it doesn't matter, but we always read left to right, so negative will be first. Most answers will be in terms of left to right because you read from left to right. Most people. Masalama. That means go in peace. Whatever that means. What does that mean?
And peace be with you.
Oh, okay. Same thing, just different words. Okay, so you can read from negative to negative to positive is usually what most answers will be in. But if you write it from positive to negative, it's not wrong. It's just unusual.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Increasing. Now you noticed I put a bracket here. Why did I put a bracket here? Because -1 is used. Okay? But is it increasing or decreasing? It's neither increasing or decreasing, but is it being used? Yes. But when you say increasing or decreasing, it's not. So when it say increasing or decreasing, it's going to be a parenthesis. Because you're neither going up or what? Down. You've got to think of it like that. Think of Michael Jordan. When he goes up for a layup, he goes up. And then in 1 millisecond, he's neither going up or what? Down. Anything. Throw a ball up in the air. At one point, when that ball goes up in the air, there's 1 point, 1 millisecond, that it doesn't go up or down. It just is stationary. And then it comes down. So it neither goes up or down. And it's technically flying. So, increasing. Well, let's take our plane. I better go down here where I get it. And our plane, and again, I'm not doing it to insult your intelligence. I'm doing it for a reason. I'm doing it, if I can do it at all with this Russians. See, I knew that was going to happen. Forget it. I'm not even going to worry about it. So, negative infinity to what? To 0, what's it doing? I heard going down. How about decreasing? Decreasing from negative infinity to 0. And what's it doing from 0 to infinity? It's increasing. From 0, I don't know what that is, a G. Increasing. It's increasing from 0 to infinity. I told you a Sudafed and that cranberry juice and vodka is just not a good mix. I guarantee you somebody will tell my department head I'm drinking in class. How much you gonna bet?
Sounds like it's working.
It says working good. That's cranberry juice and it's a different mixture, but I guarantee you it's non-alcoholic. It's got a lot of stuff in there, but it's non-alcoholic. All right, so that's it. So your domain, all these answers. If you can answer all of these on this question, then you're doing good. This is what we're working on now. That's just a little bit of what we're going over right now. That help you out? Yes, Hubert, that answers my questions. Thank you for the interaction. Appreciate that.
Go watch a movie.
Huh?
Go watch a movie.
Did I do what?
Go watch that movie.
Yeah, I told y'all. You must not have been here. It was a pretty good movie.
Okay. I want to ask if it's good.
Yeah, it's worth it. I mean, I usually don't like spending $18, $12, dollars for a ticket, but it was worth it. My son wanted to go see it again, so I put it on Fire Stick last night and watched it in Russian. It had Russian subtitles under it. You could just not look at the Russian subtitles, it's fine. But no interaction whatsoever. Oh well. So this is number 55 on 2.2 in the book, number 13 online.
Where are we supposed to be at to be, like, with the class? Are we supposed to have completed all of Chapter 2 at this point?
Not yet. I haven't finished Chapter 2 yet. You're 2.2, 2.3. What's the outline say we're supposed to go to in Chapter 2? Anybody got it with them? It's only the most important piece of paper that you got. I'm sorry, what?
2.6.
Yeah, right now, I can't see because my eyes are watering.
It said on all have 2 points completed by Thursday.
No, don't worry about
Okay.
Don't worry about dates in my class. Don't worry about dates in my class. Everybody got that? I
Okay.
put those dates up there so the bureaucrats will be happy. Don't worry about dates in my class. Y'all got that?
Mm-hmm.
Online Math 110. Do not worry about dates in my class. When I get to 2.6, that's when y'all need to start worrying. But I have been known to put Unit 1 and Unit 2 together and give y'all 2 tests at the end of about 3 or 4 weeks. Okay? But there's a good side to that. It's mostly good. I hammer all this stuff over and over and over, so it's pretty much you can't make, because you'll be good on Unit 2, the Unit 1 stuff will be what? Easy. You see what I'm saying? So I have been known to do that in Math 110. So just, I need y'all, as well as the online class, to be flexible, because you may get a Unit 1 and Unit 2 test 2 weeks from now. You see? Right now, I just want y'all to focus on the homework. Do y'all understand up there in Pendleton, Miss Whiten?
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Pendleton, y'all understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
When
Yes,
y'all
sir.
get to Unit 2, you're going to see why or Unit 2, where it talks about quadratic functions and talks about completing. See what it says right there with to 3.3. What does it say? Completing the square. Everything is what? Completing the square. And that's why I'm starting completing the square now. So when you get to Unit 2, it'll be like, oh, this is easy. So I kind of merged the 2 units together. So that's a good question. You don't need to worry about a test till I start talking about a test.
I sent you a message about it.
About what? What was it?
Whether we need to have it completed by Thursday.
No.
And that's
Yeah, don't worry. Yeah, don't worry about when I pull up a test in class and go over it. Mr. Bay can tell you this from 103. You can 120. Or what you have? 120. Anybody else? I pull up the test in class. Okay? And then after I pull up the test, I've set the dates for it and the homework. So y'all don't need to worry about anything until I pull up a test in here. Got it?
Okay.
Okay. And the Math 110 online, they can just work on homework, and you don't need to worry about a test until I do it in here, since I'm teaching the same class online and conventional. All right, here we go. What do we got here? Suppose that H and K are positive. Everybody with me? Positive. So that means that the function, is positive. So that means that if this is positive, okay, this is a trick question. I don't like this question. It will not be on the test. Because they have the actual x minus h. It's supposed to be x minus h, but I give it to you as x plus h, and I tell you to use the opposite. That's the easiest way to explain it. But since it's an x minus h, and they're saying that it's positive, that means it's got to be a negative h. Okay? So it's going to be negative and positive k, so it's going to be D. This is not a question I would put on a test because I don't teach it this way. Okay? That's why I don't put it on there. That's probably going to be the answer. Getting irritated. That's the vodka. I'm having a vodka rage. I think I should just quit. Okay, it's not working. Let me try the mouse. Okay, they're not wanting it. So, okay, so just take it like it is then. Negative means positive. Take the opposite of both. No, wait a minute. It's written in, I'm sorry, it's written in intercept method. I don't like this question because I teach you this. This is what I teach you. X plus h, quantity squared, minus equals to k. And I tell you to take the opposite of this, and I tell you to take the opposite of this, right? But there is called the intercept slash, I can't remember what else they call it. They call it the intercept form, where you bring this over. I think I mentioned it, and you put an f of x in front of it, and that's equal to x plus h, quantity squared, and then you do minus k. You remember me saying that? Okay, when it's like this, you don't take, you take the opposite of this, which is negative, and you bring this down, which would be negative. So it's going to be negative, negative. So it's not going to be this one. It's going to be negative. It's going to be alpha. Don't worry about this question on the test. I'm not going to give you one like this. I'm going to give you one that you can do, with completing the square. Okay, I have no idea what the answer is now. This is a screwed up question. It'd have to be C.
Unless they take.
Yeah, they're taking the opposite of H. Okay, I wrote positive here. I'm sorry, I wrote a positive. Okay, take the opposite. This is exactly why I don't teach this method. This is exactly why. Take the opposite of this and just bring this down. Bring down. Because it's in the intercept form. So what's the opposite of positive H? Negative. What's the opposite? In the bring the K, the negative down, so it's going to be negative, negative. Okay?
Why don't you do the opposite?
I'm sorry. Is that a positive? Is that a positive or a negative? I can't even see
It's
it.
a negative H, so it would be positive, right?
Hold on, let me see. This is exactly why I don't teach this. Positive, okay. What's the opposite of negative? I'm sorry. Positive. It's a whole lot easier the way I explained it. That's exactly why I don't teach this way. Okay, so it's going to be positive and negative, third quadrant. Just remember, if you see this question, you're going to take the opposite of this, which will be positive, and you're going to bring this down, which will be negative. So opposite and bring down. And that's the method I don't teach. I tell you to take the opposite of both, because it's a whole lot easier. So that's not my mistake or your mistake. It's just a different way of teaching, and I don't teach that method. When we get by the end of Unit 2, you're going to understand it. Okay, just bear with me. You'll understand it by the end of Unit 2. Is that a test question? Hail to the no. I wouldn't give you that one even at the end of Unit 2. Next one. I bet you there's going to be a lot of these. Nope. Question 14. I feel like I'm doing y'all's homework for you. Yep, same type. So you're going to take the opposite of the H. What is the opposite of positive H? So write down negative, parenthesis negative, comma, and then bring down the what? The positive. So it'd be negative, comma, positive. Where is negative, positive, comma? I'm sorry, negative, comma, positive. Negative, positive. C. Thank you. That question will not be on the test, but you'll understand it by the end of Unit 2. Actually, I told my department head that Unit 1 and Unit 2 should be one test, and they didn't want to do that. So anyway, not all that material on one test, just one test as far as all I would give you is Unit 2 test, and Unit 2 test would have all of Unit 1 on it, but they didn't want to do that, so they're part Russians. 2.3, this is number 9, question 1. Is it a test question? Yes, this is a test question. Now, I do not like the way that you have to graph on these things. They are kind of aggravating. So I'm going to do it by hand, and then we'll muddle through the... Do you remember me showing y'all the one graph and putting 5 or 6 things on it, 5 or 6 graphs on it? Remember that? That's what you're going to do here. So I want you to draw this on your notes. I want you to draw a big graph, Doesn't have to be as big as the whole page, maybe half the page. Draw a big graph and label it. And I want you to graph y is equal to 1, x. Then I want you to do y is equal to x plus 6, and then y is equal to x minus 5. And I want you to use the same points, -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. Now you can use the calculator on this, and if you do, that's fine. But I'm going to do it by hand, so I'm going to put y sub 1, y sub 2, y sub 3. -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. So that's going to be -2, -1, 0, 1, 2. All right, -2 plus 6 is what? 4. -1 plus 6 is what? 5. 0 plus 6 is 6. 1 plus 6 is 7. 2 plus 6 is 8. And then basically minus 5. What's -2 minus 5? -7. What's -1 minus 5? -6. What's 0 minus 5? -5, -4, -3. Now I'm going to take my handy dandy colors, and I'm going to color this one 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I'm going to color this one red. -7, -6, -5, -4, -3. Now, my basic model is the first one. -2, -2. -1, -1. 0, 0, 1, 1, 2, 2, and that's a 45 what? 45 degree angle. Everybody with me?
Mm-hmm.
And what they're doing is they're teaching you horizontal shift, vertical shift on this problem. We already covered it, so it's not going to be that big a deal. My blue line, -2, +4. -2, +4. 1, 2, 3, 4. -1, +5. 0, 6. 1, 7. And so on. Now what happened? We've got a vertical shift of what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You got a vertical shift of 6. Why? Because this is +6. That's your vertical shift. -5 is red. -2, -7. -2, -7. -1, 6. 0, -5, so on. And you see that the vertical shift there is what? 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, I got it wrong. It's supposed to be 0, 6. I got it wrong. Sorry. I suck. Plotted it wrong. -1, -2, -7. -1, -6. Okay, something's wrong. Oh, -5. Oh, that's right. I was thinking 6. I'm sorry. I had it right the first time. And the distance here is what? 5. And this right here is 6. So what they're trying to show you here is vertical what? Vertical shift. Okay, well, Hubert, I thought you said, well, remember, horizontal shift has to be in parentheses, right? So this is a variable of 1. This has 1, so you're not going to have you could have this y is equal to x plus 5 minus 6, and that would be a horizontal shift. But you could combine these two and come up, so this one you're not going to have a horizontal shift as it would do in the ones we do in unit 2 and 3. Okay? This is just to show you a difference in a vertical shift on the function. Okay?
Mhm.
Now, to graph it, I don't know how they graph it on these, but I think you type it in. Let's see. Yeah. So, you would do a straight line. Right here. Oh, I hear zipping. That means it's cardio time. Cardio infarction time. Put 0 right here. Oh, I've got to use the mouse. There. 0, and then where did we say -1 right there? And then do another one. And then what's the y-intercept? 6. And right there. And the next one, -5. And right there. And you feel good about yourself. So you don't have to put oversized smokestacks on your truck. Huh? It's stupid. Oh, it's so I have more power. No, it ain't. It's because you're retarded. Anyway, I'm sorry. It's just stupid. It's like wearing sunglasses in the gym. Girls, you ever see somebody do that? Run. Run as fast as you can away. Because that's future domestic problems. Dang old wife beater. All right. Think I'm kidding. I'm not. Oh, God, guess what? We've been logged out. One of the fun things of being on a T-Rex campus. Nobody ever pulls up their email in class.
Safety.
Yeah, whatever. All right. Is that the last question we had? I think it was. Oh, or is that the one we just did? Let's see. Somebody's going to town on the homework. Number 9, number 1. Yeah, same. Oh, we just did that one. Okay. All right. So now we did all those homework questions. Let's do one, completing the square. What was the last one we did, completing the square? Just tell me what the problem was.
I don't think we got
We haven't got to complete the square yet?
We just did like this one, and then we
Okay.
had set up the other one.
Oh, so we were doing vertical and horizontal shifts. Oh, we were doing parent graphs. Okay, so we haven't done that. Okay. So we were on absolute value? We're on absolute value?
I think.
Absolute value, absolute vodka?
Yeah.
Looks like a V. And after absolute vodka, it was the cube. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I see what we're doing. Okay, now, that's a -4 and a +2. Okay, so that would be 4 to the right and 2 up. 4 to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 2 up. And what do we have out in front? We have a 1/2 out in front.
Right.
So that's going to make it what? It's going to make it stretched out further than the black one. Because you're stretching along the x-axis and you're what along the y-axis? Compressing along the y-axis. So it's going to make it squattier. If that's a word. I don't know if squattier is a word. That's what you're doing.
Just made it one.
I just made it one. I make up a lot of words. 2x minus 1 cubed minus 4. 2 times x minus 1 cubed. Is that what you said?
No.
And then what?
-4.
Minus 4. So this function looks like the little s, or the s. So we've got our parent graph, looks like this. Now we're going to put in our vertical and horizontal shift. We've got a horizontal shift of 1 to the right and a vertical shift of what? 1, 2, 3, 4. So now we've got, now what does this 2 mean? It means compression along the x-axis and stretching along the y-axis. So that's going to make it what? Going to make it skinnier. And see, that's what these, no matter if you're talking about, I think this is where I left off the last class. If you're talking about this, what do we say this was? 1 what? 1/2? 1/2 absolute value of x minus 4. Oh, that's supposed to be absolute value. Plus 2, is that what it was?
Yes.
Okay, again, you have your orientation, you have your horizontal shift, which is the opposite, and then you have your vertical shift, which is whatever it is, and this is orientation. Same thing here. Orientation, it's a number greater than 2, so that means it's going to be skinnier. We've got a horizontal shift of 1 to the right, it's the opposite, and we use this as a vertical. All right, what's the next one? F of x is equal to what? What's the next one?
It's 1/3.
1/3
Square root of x plus 3 minus
x plus 3, and then what?
1.
Minus 1. All right, we know the parent graph for the square root looks like what? Looks like an arrow off to the right. I don't use that other word anymore. Okay? So we know that we've got a horizontal shift of what? 3 to the what? 3 to the left, because we go opposite. And then the vertical shift of 1 what? What does the 1/3 do? Does it make it squattier or does it make it thinner? Squattier, Hubert. Thank you. Everybody catching on? Orientation, horizontal shift, vertical shift.
Man, I was so far behind where you're doing. I can't even listen to you, man.
Okay, where are you at? Tell me where you're at.
I'm on section 1.2.
Okay. All right. Well,
So
you're going to have
I'm
to.
trying to catch up.
Okay,
I'm
just
not
keep
good.
catching up. But realize all this is going to start overlapping.
Okay.
So once you get through 1.1, once you get to 2 point, you'll start catching on because it's just overlapping. All this stuff is overlapping.
All right, so I've got a question.
Yes.
When you're +3, where is that going into the arrow?
This is the horizontal shift. +3 is the horizontal shift. So it's the opposite. So it's 3 to the left. 1, 2, 3. What do you mean, where is it going?
The arrow's not going across. I guess I'm getting to the arrows.
Yeah, it is. If you was to plot these, if you was to plot x, -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. Okay? If you was to plug in -2 here, you'd get -2 plus 3 is what? Square root of 1. Square root of 1 is 1. 1 times 1/3 is 0.33. 0.33 minus 1 is 0.67 or -0.67. And that's why it drops down. Okay, -1. -1 plus 3 is 2. Right? Okay, 2 square root of 2 is what? 1.4? 1.4 times 1 is 1.4 divided by 3. 0.45. 0.45 minus 1 is -0.56. Approximate. 0, I'll do this one for you. 0 plus 3 is 3. Square root of 3 is 1.7. 17 divided by 3 is 8.8, right? 0.8 minus 1 is -0.2, which is getting closer and closer, and then it starts crossing over at 1. 1 plus 3 is what? 4 divided by 3 is 1.3. 1.3 minus 1 is what? 0.3. So it's actually getting up here. So it's growing. So really, if you think about the 3 as part of the function, you can't do that. But what you can do is think of 3 as a horizontal shift. And you can just move it over. See, what you're doing is you're comparing it to this guy, which is your parent graph. Your graph is going to be different from his graph. His graph is going to be different from her graph because you're sketching it. You just need to know what the horizontal shift and the vertical shift and the orientation is doing. Your sketches are not going to look the same because you're sketching it. You see what I'm saying? This is just the knowledge of what the function is doing compared to the parent graph. It'll come together. It'll come together. Is there another one?
Yeah.
Okay, let me go to the next screen because I know people are going to start having heart attacks in a minute because it's getting to be close to time and I already heard a zipper. So, all right, what's the next one? F of x.
-3.
-3.
Parentheses
1 over x plus 3.
parentheses
-1. All right, now I want you to use your parent graphs. And I want you to draw a graph, sketch a graph with the parent graph of this one. This is the half a volcano. And then I want you to move it according to the horizontal shift. And then the vertical shift. And then I want you to look at the -3 and tell me what that does. So you might want to draw a big graph here. And I'll give you the parent graph. Here's the parent graph. There's your parent graph. That's half volcano, which is full volcano is what we're going to have as soon as the hurricane and the Sharknado hit South Carolina.
Bread and milk.
Yeah, we're going to get bread and milk. Because in South Carolina, one snowflake falls, it's Armageddon. And when a hurricane comes, we're going to fight that hurricane. I really do not want anything to happen to South Carolina because I actually think we would self-combust if something actually really bad happened in South Carolina. Between the local news and the way people overreact, my God.
That's why I don't like watching the news.
That's why all the movies, the things happen in California. Because those people can take it out there. They've been through a lot with all the earthquakes and everything. That's why you never see a traumatic movie take place in South Carolina, because we would run into each other. We would kill each other.
He's right.
No reaction out of Pendleton campus, none whatsoever. Y'all hate me, don't you? That's what it is. Y'all hate me.
No.
Good. One person says no. One person. Thank you. The others hate me though. All right. So what does this do? What is the horizontal shift? 3 to the what? 3 to the left. 1, 2, 3. What does this mean? 1 down. So now I'm doing this for y'all. Now my new origin. I want you to look here. So here is my new graph right now. Now, that's taking into effect the horizontal and the what? The vertical shift. Now, all this is gone. I don't need this anymore. What does the negative tell me? The negative tell me that everything's what? Backwards. So instead of going this way, this one's going to be where? Over here. And this one's going to be what? Over here. Now I'm going to erase this one. Now, what does the 3 tell me? Is it going to be squattier or is it going to be skinny? It's going to be skinny. So now my final product is going to be like this. Well, I can't draw it on this. I already got it too skinny as it is. It's going to be skinnier, okay? Meaning it's going to be pressed this way and stretched this way, so it's going to be skinnier. Okay, so now your horizontal shift took you 3 to the left and 1 down, and then you drew the opposite with the negative. You drew the opposite of the parent graph, and then you made it skinnier with the 3.
Would it be a positive based on negative 3?
It's always, the horizontal shift is always the what? It's always the opposite. I said that the first day. And you send as many questions as you can.
All right.
Okay? Because I guarantee you there's probably 2 or 3 people in here, 2 or 3 people up there, and probably about 5 or 6 online that need those same questions.
No, I don't have any questions.
All right, who's got questions? All right, what I want everybody to do, and this is the online 110 as well as everybody in this class, I want you to keep working on the homework and do just like you did today. Miss Kennard, where are you at?
Right here.
Keep sending them. You keep sending them because that tells me what questions y'all need. Just keep sending them, okay? All right, let me call the roll. Let me stop the recording so I can load it.
Horizontal